Guns don't kill people, people kill people, they say as they pray, as they peep through the keyhole and wait to come out till the murder-suicide blood has dried. Hi, I'm your host, Lightning Lucas. I got that name by surviving being struck by lightning, and now I'm bringing at you this musical podcast every Friday-ish. And unfortunately, today we're going to have a quite somber episode because stuff in the news has just been honestly really making me sort of mournful and angry at the same time, and we're going to talk a lot about that in the next few minutes. So welcome to episode 62 of Hold That Note. You may have seen what I did on Sunday or Monday this last week, an emergency episode I called it, because I wrote a song for something that was very current in the news, and since that time I have done a studio version of the same song. So that's what we're going to listen to first. I initially titled it Make Believe, and actually I wrote some of the tune and some of the chorus, well, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I can't even remember what mass shooting it was. That's how terrible it is in this country. We have so many mass shootings that you can't keep them straight. But anyway, I finished the song and recorded it immediately, and I was calling it Make Believe, which is a line that comes through a lot. But then I had the idea that I should name the song after the shooter, and I will talk more about the motivation behind changing the name to the song during the question section, which is after the song. So now let's listen to the studio version of Payton Gendron. Newspaper hit the doorstep of my heart this morning. Headline read, another 10 dead, shot by a kid who was wrong in the head. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend. It's easier to imagine, it's just the imagination of the man at the radio station, rather than the messed up mind of the boy with the gun in his hand. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. Newspaper hit the doorstep of my heart this morning. Headline read, thousands now dead. When I ask what for, they say another war. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend. It's difficult to imagine the imagination of the man at the highest position, thinking it's a grand idea to keep sending more boys with guns in their hands. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. Newspaper hit the doorstep of my heart this morning. Headline read, 1 million now dead in a country where we had the cure to spare. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. But some choose to pretend, it's just pretend. Empirical evidence isn't as real as what I feel, and what I read on my news feed tells me that I is more important than we.
make-believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend. And guns don't kill people, people kill people, they say as they pray, as they peep through the keyhole and wait to come out to the murder-suicide. Blood has dried, it's easier to make believe, it's make-believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend. Unfortunately, this is not the end. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend. It's easier to imagine, it's just the imagination of the man at the radio station, rather than the messed up mind of the boy with the gun in his hand. It's easier to make believe, it's make believe. It's easier to pretend, it's just pretend.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get across here is that we really need to take this kind of thing seriously. And I guess everyone would say that, but what that looks like to different people is very different. And I'm going to read a YouTube comment that I got this morning here in the question section. Question, question, maybe it's a question, maybe it's a comment. This comes from a listener named Artie on YouTube, but I actually took the comment down because it initially made me kind of angry. But anyway, I'm going to read it here, and Artie has a point, so I'm not saying that I don't agree with him in some ways. But anyway, here's what he says. The lyrics are definitely creative, but something in my gut tells me that you named this after the monster who drew havoc recently for the sake of getting clicks, syndication, and publicity, and that to me is downright terrible. This song shouldn't have his name as the title. He doesn't deserve to have his rhetoric live on through any type of feedback, whether good or bad. It's just giving him what he wants, and it's hurting those who knew or were close to the victims who perished last week. Just tragic. Well, first, Artie, this thank you for your comment. It makes me feel deeply, and I do have some qualms about having changed the name of the song, but I disagree with you on several accounts. First of all, I don't think we should call Payton Gendron a monster. I think we should say what he did was monstrous, but I think it's the scapegoating of the shooters and murderers that ends up getting us in trouble, and why so many people think it's just isolated incidents and not a societal problem that we need to deal with a societal shift. I think that you're right. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have to name this song after the shooter. And in some ways, that probably is what he wants. He probably wants to have his memory live on in whatever ways he can make that happen, sort of like Voldemort and his Horcruxes. But it's interesting that I sort of accidentally, tangentially just brought up Harry Potter and Voldemort, who in the books is often called he who must not be named. And there's power in naming someone that many people are afraid to name. And I think we need to name Payton Gendron and call out society for things like gun control and putting more money toward mental health. If you've listened to any other episodes of this show, you know that we focus on mental health a lot because I have bipolar disorder. But I keep thinking of a song that my sister wrote, which I'm not sure if she has a good recording of. If she does, I will try to link to it in the show notes at holdthatnote.net. But anyway, the song is called Names, and it's about the names that we call ourselves and others in society around us, and how God can give us new names. And I'm not trying to say that I think that if Payton Gendron says some sort of Jesus prayer, he'll magically go to heaven, even though he just murdered all these people. I don't believe in heaven and hell in that way. I think it's clear that Payton's legacy will always be a negative one. On the other hand, we can't know whether this mass shooting will be the time that the government actually pushes through some gun control and keeps things like this from happening again and again and again. And furthermore, if we could get some more funding for mental health pushes that could, first of all, keep people off the street, and second of all, keep people from doing horrific acts like this, that certainly would be progress. If it's not clear, I could definitely rant on a response to Artie's comment for quite some time, and I already have, but I want to say one more thing directly about naming the song, which is that I was inspired to change the name of the song partially because of Sufjan Stevens' song about the serial killer John Wayne Gacy Jr., which I will also put a link to in the show notes, but please do not listen to it if you are squeamish at all. And one last comment. Yes, I did change the name of this song to get it more clicks and views, but that is because I believe this song deserves to be heard. Okay, moving on. The next song that we're going to hear is called Remember Not to Forget, and it relates to my long spiel in answer to Artie's comment because I wrote it about trying to get myself to remember that I probably will have another bipolar, manic, or depressive episode at some point, and one of the best ways to prevent that is to remember not to forget. Here's the song.
Click, snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click, snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. Click, snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click, snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. A dreary day can get me down. I laze around and hear the sound of rain upon the roof. I need no more proof of the goodness of the universe. Oh God, and the burden that's been laid upon us. Work the ground and help the poor. Let's be honest, it's a hard road. Sometimes our hard-earned peace turns into sorrow. Though at least we have each other through our struggles and fears. Recall the storm clouds clear. Click, snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click, snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. Click, snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click, snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. A happy time can leave me high. It makes it hard to sleep at night. And when the morning does arrive, I might be in hyperdrive and I can lose my mind. Just like 2 years ago this time. And life's a balance beam for all of us. and I'm a high wire werewolf. There's no telling what I might do or what I might say or how I might behave, so that's why I take my high wire walking training seriously and try to stay inside. Around the full moon, click snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. Click snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. I must remember that the last time won't be the last time, unless I keep in mind it might not be the last time. Remember that the last time won't be the last time, unless you keep in mind it might not be the last time. Remember that the last time won't be the last time, unless we keep in mind it might not be the last time. Remember that the last time won't be the last time, unless we keep in mind it might not be the last time. Click snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click snap the rubber band, remember not to forget. Click snap the rubber band around my wrist. Click snap the rubber band, remember not to forget.
Well, I think maybe it's obvious, but the part of that song that relates most to the previous song is the end there, sort of the bridge or B section. We must remember that the last time won't be the last time unless we keep in mind it might not be the last time. And that's certainly how I feel about mass shootings and wars and maybe even pandemics. So, abrupt switch. We are pretty much done, but we're going to listen to the Patreon patron thank you song for my patrons at patreon.com/lightninglucas. That's how you can support this show. And another way to support the show is to commission a song by emailing me at lucas@lightninglucas.com. There's no E in lightning, and it's Lucas with a C both times. Anyway, thank you for listening. Here's the patron song followed by a brief outro.
Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for your generosity. I could not make music like I do if it weren't for people like you.
One more little vignette. I stopped at the pawn shop on my way home from my therapy appointment this week. I like the pawn shop. They have lots of instruments, and I like to see if I want to buy one or imagine buying one. However, this time I noticed something I had never really noticed before, which is I knew they had guns there. They have hunting guns and stuff, but then there was a case full of assault rifles. So you can go to the pawn shop and buy an assault rifle. That is absurd. So please sign some sort of gun legislation petition that you see on Facebook or something like that. Do something. Contact your local representative, or I don't even know. I just get frustrated. I don't know what we can do exactly, but this podcast was my way of saying we need to change something. Let's enact real gun control and mental health reform. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Lightning Lucas, and this has been episode 62 of
Oh.